Now on KOAM News at 10, the FDA gives the Pfizer vaccine full authorization. We'll hear from local healthcare providers about the potential impact on vaccinations in our region. Plus, doctors at a Southeast Kansas hospital are calling on residents to help curb the spread of COVID-19. And we look at what products are hit hardest by inflation.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
With the U.S. now averaging nearly 160,000 new COVID-19 cases a day, there are hopes that full authorization for Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine will lead more people to get their shots. Amy Redwood reports from New York.
Federal regulators have granted full approval to Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for people 16 and older. It's the first coronavirus vaccine available in the U.S. without an emergency use designation.
This vaccine has gone through the gauntlet.
President Biden hailed the decision and said he hopes it will convince skeptics to get immunized.
The moment you've been waiting for is here. It's time for you to go get your vaccination and get it today.
The Pfizer vaccine was approved for emergency use in December. Since then, over 1 billion doses have been administered, including hundreds of millions in the U.S.
There's really no running away from it anymore.
Earlier this summer, a Kaiser Family Foundation survey found that nearly a third of unvaccinated adults would be more likely to change their minds if the FDA fully approved a vaccine.
I feel less anxious about the whole thing, and I'm ready to get my second one.
The move prompted the Pentagon to announce it would move ahead with a vaccine mandate. New York City is adopting a similar rule for all public school employees and won't allow them to opt out.
All staff of every kind, principals, teachers, custodians, food service, you name it, needs to have at least 1 dose.
Pfizer's vaccine will be sold under the brand name Comirnaty. The vaccine remains under an emergency use authorization for 12 to 15-year-olds, as do the vaccines made by Moderna and Johnson & Johnson. Amy Redwood, CBS News.
The CDC says more than 60% of the U.S. population has received at least 1 dose of a coronavirus vaccine. More than 51% are fully vaccinated. The FDA's approval of the Pfizer vaccine could impact vaccination rates in our area. KOAM's Zach Dodge has details and local reaction.
Those who've been waiting for full approval should go get your shot now.
That's what local health providers hope residents will do after the FDA officially gives Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine full approval.
Hope that gives, people in the community another sense of encouragement.
Amanda Wilson, the pharmacist at Prater's Pharmacy in Webb City, says they haven't seen any more of a rush for the vaccines than they normally would, but they're ready for it if it comes.
We do have Pfizer vaccine in stock in case there is some more interest in that.
We've had some people in that have come in because of the FDA approval, and so clearly for some it's definitely going to make a difference.
And while Stone's Corner Pharmacy has had walk-ins because of the news, Isaacs explains that at this point it's hard to know if their vaccination rate is any higher. Another thing that's hard to gauge, the impact the approval will have on vaccine hesitancy. Dozens have already taken to social media to say the approval doesn't change their minds. And Iola, Kansas resident Mickey Herrera is still on the fence.
I am still leery of that.
She and her husband both had COVID-19 at the end of July. Their symptoms were mild, so they didn't need hospital care. She's still apprehensive.
I just kind of want to see what long-term effects are and more studies, because I know it's still so new, and I know, my doctor even said they're still finding out new things of COVID and the new, strains that are coming out. I just kind of want to wait and see.
In Webb City, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
And that brings us to today's KOAM News Now Instapoll. Today's question: do you think full FDA authorization of the Pfizer vaccine will decrease vaccine hesitancy? We opened this poll some hours ago. The overwhelming majority, 68%, say no. The poll is now closed. Thank you for participating. The Joplin Health Department is reporting 5 more COVID-19 deaths. The patients were 2 men, a 52-year-old and a 71-year-old, and 3 women, ages 60, 71, and 73. The latest deaths bring the city's total to 160. State numbers show the city of Joplin is outpacing other cities in Missouri when it comes to vaccination percentages, becoming the first to hit 50% fully vaccinated. State data shows that 50.9% of the state is fully vaccinated. 61% of all adults 18 and older in Missouri have started the vaccination process. Joplin leads the state in vaccinations with 50% of its population fully vaccinated against COVID-19. 9 jurisdictions in the state are at least 40% vaccinated. The state of Missouri has administered more than 95,000 doses of vaccine in the last 7 days. The highest vaccination rates are among people older than 65. With the FDA authorization, Cox Health has moved to require COVID-19 vaccinations among its employees. Hospital officials say the decision was led by the health system's physician leaders and was due in part to the FDA's full authorization of the Pfizer vaccine. Cox Health CEO Steve Edwards said in a media release, quote, "This decision is ultimately led by science, which has shown us that vaccinations are the way we can end this pandemic." To date, nearly 70% of Cox Health employees are already vaccinated against COVID-19, as well as more than 90% of physicians. Many Southeast Kansas hospitals signed a letter addressing a lack of available hospital space. The letter asks people in the area to take certain precautions, such as masking in public, getting tested for COVID, and most importantly, getting vaccinated. Wilson Medical Center's CEO says they were prompted to support the letter due to decreased hospital bed space.
We've seen a major increase in the number of COVID cases in the last several weeks, mainly the last month. And the letter was to encourage people to get vaccinated, and if they aren't vaccinated, to be sure that if they're sick, stay home.
Right now in Southeast Kansas, 22% of patients are being treated for COVID-19. Nick Kelly, the potentially dangerously hot weather sticks with us for a while.
Yeah, it certainly came back in full force yesterday, Dow, with highs back in the mid-90s. We pretty much hit that mark once again, but this time after a warm start to the day. Lows around 77 before we did top out again back around 95 degrees. The main weather story is still all about the heat and humidity, leaving heat advisories in place for much of the region until we can get into Thursday evening at the latest. And even though it was hot and humid, unfortunately we couldn't result in any of that to get any isolated thunderstorms going. So on the plus side, we're going to stay quiet as we go throughout the overnight. The bad side of the coin, though, it's still pretty warm out there. Upper 70s to lower 80s, even at 10 o'clock on this Monday night. A quick look at the day tomorrow has us at least dropping out to 75, so at least it's a little reprieve from the heat. But we go back to about 97 tomorrow with the humidity down. It's going to feel like the triple digits once again, pardon me. And we'll see how long this will stick around here in just a bit.
See you then. Still ahead, inflation is leading to sticker shock at the grocery store. We're going to look at what products are hit the hardest. And President Biden meets with his national security team to discuss the security challenges facing U.S. forces in Afghanistan. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell is scheduled to address inflation this Thursday when he speaks virtually at the elite Jackson Hole Economic Symposium. The speech comes as inflation is triggering sticker shock at the grocery store. The latest numbers prove prices are going up for just about everything right now. Reporter Mandy Gaither takes a closer look at the numbers and what products are seeing inflation take the biggest toll.
The price hikes keep coming. Prices for everyday goods and services rose in July by 5.4% compared to a year ago, according to the Labor Department's Consumer Price Index.
We have pent-up demand and we have big disruptions in supply, and they put pressure on prices.
Here's a look at the sticker shock people are experiencing right now. Women's dresses up about 19% in price over the last 12 months. Used car and gas prices up about 42%. Rental cars are up more than 73%. Experts say the pent-up demand for travel kept inflation hot.
It is not the 70s and the 80s, but it is 3 to 4% inflation that will last for much longer than most people expect.
Americans are also paying more at grocery stores. Apples and milk up 6% over the past year. Fresh fish up more than 8%. Meat up nearly 11%. One food distributor says the price hikes are concerning.
I've been doing this for 35 years. As far as I'm concerned, I'm scared to the point of, are they going to stop buying the product?
It's still cheaper to head to the grocery store and enjoy a home-cooked meal. The price of food in restaurants or takeout saw a 4.6% increase compared to this time last year.
Well, we have to eat, so what can I say? A lot of times I have to compromise.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The price of restaurant food or for takeout rose 0.8% in July. That's the largest monthly increase since February of 1981. President Biden met with his national security team at the White House today to discuss the security challenges facing U.S. forces in Afghanistan. The U.S. and its allies evacuated more than 16,000 refugees in the last 24 hours, though thousands of Americans remain trapped in Kabul. President Biden says he may need to extend next week's withdrawal deadline in order to make sure everyone is evacuated, but the Taliban says it will not agree to any extension. The House interrupted its August recess and returned to Washington this week to tackle infrastructure. This morning, the House Rules Committee took up the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill and the $3.5 trillion budget reconciliation resolution. House leaders are hoping for final floor votes tomorrow. Rescue crews are searching for about a dozen people still missing in Tennessee after catastrophic flooding west of Nashville. At least 22 people were killed when record-breaking rainfall washed away homes and roads over the weekend. Up to 17 inches of rain fell in less than 24 hours, which set a new one-day record for rainfall in Tennessee. Later, the Kansas City Chiefs are wrapping up the preseason on Friday against the Vikings. We're going to hear how the team feels heading into the season.
Plus, we had to put up with a few hot and humid days. We'll do it again tomorrow. So how long do we have to keep up with this? We'll break down the forecast next.
Plumbing and electric today.
You probably didn't need me to tell you that today was just another one of those days where it looked nice to be out and about, but once you stepped even a single toe out the door, it was just hot and humid to be out there for long. Still, we can't deny, though, the time-lapse of indigo sky outside of Seneca, Missouri looked pretty good throughout the day. Nice sunrise, some high clouds at time. Thin clouds, though, hardly threatening whatsoever, and follow that with a nice-looking sunset. But once we did see the sunrise once again, it was no problem to see temperatures a little hotter compared to yesterday. We hit about 93, 94 yesterday, only a drop into the upper 70s, 77 at Joplin Regional this morning. So it was no surprise that we made a quick jump back to 95 degrees for Joplin in the afternoon, while other areas had to make do with mid and even a couple of upper 90s on the board. Fortunately, we could not get any of the heat or humidity to result in any isolated showers or storms to give us a break from the heat. So it's no surprise that these heat advisories for pretty much the entire region will remain locked in, not just for tomorrow, but until Thursday at the latest, once we hit 7 o'clock in the evening. So any breaks from the heat that we can get for the next few days will be during the night. But while it does look nice from 7th and Range Line, we're still trying to cool down at least somewhat. Still warm at 84, feels like 89 thanks to a dew point sitting in the lower 70s, 71 at Joplin Regional. A couple upper 70s on the board, sure, as you hit Stockton Lake and along in north of US 54, but most spots are still trying to see temperatures between 80 and 85 degrees. Not to mention these dew points. We never want to see these back in the lower 70s, but as long as they are there, it feels like the upper 80s to near 90s still in some spots. But I do anticipate us dropping back to 75, so it'll give us a little break from the heat before we go right back into the heat and humidity for tomorrow. While most of the four-state region stayed quiet, we did have a complex of storms from St. Louis almost down to Sikeston as we work along I-55 and down the Mississippi. But that area of rain is pretty much falling apart now. Our frontal system that gave us the rain on Saturday and lit it back north on Sunday is well to the north of us now. We're not going to see this come back into play, hopefully, until next Monday. In the meantime, though, we head upstairs because it is all about this upper level ridge. Centered over Texas for now, but certainly strong enough to keep the jet to the north, any good systems to the north, and that will certainly keep the heat and humidity locked in once again for tomorrow. Again, though, any breaks from the heat that we can get will be during the night, so temperatures will do their best to at least drop off into the mid-70s. I'm expecting the overnight lows to drop off to 75 with mostly sunny skies to start the day. Then we're not going to waste any time heating up. 92 by noon. I see Joplin topping out at 97 degrees for tomorrow. But you can make that same argument for everybody. Mid to upper 90s in terms of the air temperature. You factor in the dew points that'll still be up there once again. It's going to feel like it's between 100 and 107 for our Tuesday afternoon. Those are numbers that will repeat themselves for Wednesday and Thursday as long as we remain firmly under the center of the upper level ridge. But it starts to weaken and shift east as we go into the weekend. That could allow for a few isolated storms each afternoon to finally return. But I don't see any good rain chances coming back our way until we finally start to see the ridge weaken enough to see our next cold front working on Monday, and hopefully by then we can get highs back to 89 degrees. In the meantime though, Dow, the alert days are up Tuesday through Thursday because of the heat and humidity. Daytime highs around 96 and 97. It'll easily feel like triple digits with this humidity locked in place.
We're going to want to stay inside if they can, hydrate if they must be out.
Yeah, very true.
Thanks, Nick. Joplin students return to the classroom today, and those who need help buying items for their extracurriculars, well, they might want to turn to a program by the Alliance of Southwest Missouri. It's called Full Potential. The program helps students buy things they need for extracurricular activities, things like cleats, shin guards for soccer, and even instrument rental for band or orchestra members. Its aim is to encourage kids to put their focus on positive activities.
To be able to get a call from a mom or dad or a student and say, you know, I got first place in this, or I got this trophy or this medal, or look how happy my kid is, you know, kicking their first goal. You know, that's incredible. And that really makes it all worth it, I think.
You can learn more about the Full Potential program through the Alliance of Southwest Missouri website. Coming up in sports, we're going to hear from the Gerard Trojans as they prepare for next week's season opener, and where Chiefs wide receiver Tyreke Hill lands on the NFL's top 100 list. Jacob Leonard joins us with that and more just ahead.
The Gerard Trojans are beginning their second week of fall football practice. The Trojans are just 11 days away from their season opener against Colgan. And Gerard finished last season 4-6 overall, but they did pick up some big wins last year. They beat Colgan in week 1, then beat undefeated Columbus in the first round of the playoffs, their first playoff win since 2016. Gerard has 6 starters back on each side of the ball this fall, with most of them being at skill positions. Their offensive and defensive lines are where the Trojans will have the most new faces this fall.
Things are going really great. We got a new line this year, ready to compete, and for this Friday coming up for our Jamboree, we're ready to play.
You know, we've got some parts there. You know, our offensive defensive line is going to be green, but willing. I think they've bought into what we're trying to do, and I think they'll be aggressive. They'll be a little undersized. I've told them that they'll probably be undersized in every game they play, but they got to be technicians and do things the right way and play hard.
The Kansas City Chiefs will play their final preseason game of the year on Friday against the Vikings. The Chiefs are 2-0 so far in the preseason after beating the Cardinals last Friday 17-10. Now in that game, starters on offense didn't do a ton for Kansas City. In fact, it was the defense that led the way for a change. Chiefs picked up 5 sacks on D and allowed just 239 total yards.
Our defense they played well, and so I thought the guys executed well, great communication. Defensive line was able to put pressure on the quarterback, all the things that you need for the second game.
Staying with the Chiefs, wide receiver Tyreke Hill is number 15 on the NFL's top 100 players list for 2021. Hill moves up from being number 22 last season. In 2020, he racked up 87 catches for more than 1,200 yards and 15 touchdowns. He actually led the NFL with 14 yards per touch. Hill has made the Pro Bowl in each of his first 5 seasons in the league and has 5,300 yards and 53 total offensive touchdowns in his career. Well, after a bit of a rough start to his major league career, former Crowder College pitcher Aaron Ashby is on a roll right now for the Milwaukee Brewers. Sunday night, he threw 2 shutout innings out of the bullpen for the Brewers with 4 strikeouts in the team's 7-3 win over the Nationals. Now, he's had 3 appearances since his first start in the majors. Since then, he has not allowed a single earned run, throwing 8 shutout innings with 9 strikeouts, giving up just 7 hits along the way. Now, Ashby was an All-American his sophomore season for Crowder in 2018. The Kansas City Royals, winners of 6 of their last 7, open a series tonight with the Astros. Carlos Correa, nice play for Houston there. Game scoreless. To the 3rd inning, Salvador Perez takes former Royal Zach Greinke up and out for the solo homer, his 33rd. Kansas City up 2. Now the Astros would get one in the bottom half to get within 1, but it's been all Kansas City tonight. Royals lead 7-1 in the 8th. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Take time now to honor a local veteran, Technician 5th Class Meredith McCool. The Pittsburgh native served in the U.S. Army, and we are proud to salute Technician 5th Class Meredith McCool, tonight's 4th state hero with one cool name. In a case of art imitating life, the Halloween classic It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, is alive and well at the Kentucky State Fair. Take a look. This 1,663-pound gargantuan gourd was raised by Floyd County farmer Dwight Stone. Beats the previous Kentucky State record pumpkin by 69 pounds. There was some pretty stiff competition this year from other Titanic jack-o'-lanterns, but the Floyd County grown gourd takes the cake, or I guess you might say the pumpkin pie. Champion Dwight Stone isn't giving away his growing secrets or even saying exactly how he managed to get the great pumpkin to the fairgrounds.
Well, either way, it probably wouldn't have been easy.
No, I'm sure there was some crane work involved. Yeah. If you get it there broken, I don't know if it counts. Probably not. You have to be careful, I'm sure.
This probably has to be intact for it to be judged.
I would think so. The heat continues.
Yeah, that's why the alert days are up tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. The heat advisories, the highs near 96 to 97 with the humidity. It's going to feel like the triple digits easily for each of the next 3 afternoons.
Final sports notes.
Well, we talked to Crowder College baseball head coach Travis Lallemand earlier tonight about Aaron Ashby's recent success with the Brewers. You can check out that story on the sports page on our website.
We will. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget our morning show, and let's make it a great tomorrow.
Services provided.